Hey, I'm Jeff Doss.
Haley Glass.
Welcome to the Extra Scoop.
Awesome,
But
awesome. This is going to be fun. We got Haley Glass on the show with us, guys. Go ahead and start sharing, commenting, let us know who's watching, and just get everybody join in as we have a fun time hearing about her story, but also just a good chat. And we got two, I don't know, two best friends right there that I'm add some craziness to the shows because anytime we add friends into the show, it's always fun. So
it's
yes,
true.
yes.
True.
All right, before we get going, we want to just let you guys know, not this weekend, but next weekend is the K-Talk Nationals in New York City, New York. Lots of fun. One of the best tournaments on the East Coast. Definitely, it's the tournament in New York City, and they always have just a lot of fun. A lot of great competitors that come out. People from all over, not just New York City or the East Coast. I know many times people from Puerto Rico and Mexico and Guatemala that come out there. So going to be a big event. But yeah, I mean, every year K Talk puts on a great show, and they also definitely support the sport big time. The Diaz's have had a team together that go pretty much everywhere. And I mean, if in some fashion they've probably been to almost every tournament there has been around, or very close, right? So, and also they're part of USA Sport Karate this year as well. I think last year was the first year, so US Sport Karate is really growing, and they're going to bring their professionalism to the New York City area. So you guys got anything? Hey, have you been to that tournament before?
I have not. It's been one I've been wanting to go to, but I think just I'm not home a lot, so like the holidays, like Thanksgiving time, is like when I am home. So I've stayed in town, but I do want to get out to it here within the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah, definitely a good area, a good place to go for a tournament. We don't always get that opportunity to go to New York City for a big tournament, so it's a lot of fun. So, thank you, K Talk, for supporting the show, and go out and get registered now. All right, so this year's been nuts, Haley. Let's
Sure.
just kind of break it down, all the stuff that you've been doing professionally, personally, everything else. So, how
Everywhere.
exciting is
Yeah.
this year?
It's been a year full of a lot of change, super exciting things, just a lot of great opportunities left and right, and big life changes. I started off the year. I started with an internship at University of Florida for my last semester in school. So that was a big deal for me. I was doing an athletic training internship with our school's track team. So I worked with some D1 athletes, some Olympic athletes. People I got to kind of work with and see train. Went on to do the Olympics in Paris this year. So that was a really cool experience, just getting to meet them and watch them, and then see them go kill it. And then a little while later, actually during that time, I got an opportunity and a call to film Cobra Kai earlier this year. Cobra Kai season 6, part 2, which is coming out here this Friday. So
Yeah.
I got that opportunity. Totally was not expecting it. Came from left field. Like, it blew my mind. It still doesn't feel real, to be honest with you. I guess it will once I see everything kind of come together this the end of this week. But that was super exciting. And then I graduated college, so I got my bachelor's degree in May.
Wow.
Did a couple of tournaments in the summer. Got engaged to in July. So now I'm a fiance. Like, it's crazy. And then I went on to do a almost 3.5 month contract with Royal Caribbean, my second one. So I was out in the Caribbean performing 7 times a week with an amazing cast of women from all over the world. And I just came back recently. So since I've been back, I've just done a lot of seminars, kind of been out and about. I have a seminar coming up this weekend. So I'm just kind of
Wow.
traveling a bit, and then here's the holidays. So I mean, it's been absolutely insane. So much has happened, but it's been a great year.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I would say really you've been busy the past 2 years, but
Yeah.
just this year alone just seems
It's
like,
been so much.
yeah, and it's like a lot of different parts of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of different things. Nothing really is related to another. So
Right,
it's
right.
been a year of surprises.
Right. So Haley, sorry, Peyton, as you guys are best friends. what are some things as far as like this year you've noticed about Haley, maybe her growth, or just maybe her, like how she deals with all the stress and the craziness going on?
This girl is nonstop, like nonstop, and I'm proud of her. And yeah, the engagement for sure was one of the biggest things. I know that was a big change, and we're all excited for her. We all love Alex. We all love them together. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of her for graduating right there, right behind her
Yeah.
in December.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's taking these opportunities and she's basically taking the bull by the horns and just running with it and doing amazing.
No.
That's so cool. That's so cool. All right. So let's talk about it while y'all are like right there, next to each other. So when did this friendship begin?
Oh my gosh. It years ago, I want to say like 15, 16 years, 16 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Probably 2
Wait,
years
how
into
old are
my
you?
martial arts career.
Yeah, I started martial arts when I was 5, and I started competing around 6, so maybe like 15 years.
Wow.
And so Peyton and I used to compete together in the same division. We weren't from the same school, and at the time, Peyton was like the tallest in the division.
Not anymore.
Like I was always the shorty. We have this legendary picture of Pay and I at an event called the Terracotta, and I was like half of her size. So
Quite
I used to
literally.
I used to not like her because it was always hard to compete against her. I used to lose to her all the time when I first started out. Like she was my biggest comp. So like we weren't buddies, we weren't besties.
No.
I like every time I saw her at an event, I was like, oh gosh, here we go again. Like she's here. But then I think it's when I switched over and I went to Florida Sports. I switched karate schools in 2012, at the end of 2012,
Okay.
and we just started, becoming friends and just hung out a lot, and then I guess eventually it led to us being best friends. I mean, I don't know like when exactly it happened, but
No.
it did. But yeah, and then the rest is history. We've been like this since then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that seems like it happens a lot of times. Sometimes, like some of my best friends were rivals first, and we didn't really get along. Then now it's like we just been
Yeah.
around for so long. You just, you connect because you understood, like that feeling. You both had the same feeling that you wanted to win, you wanted to grow. But yes, I remember when you guys were young, and yeah, Peyton, you were you were the tallest in the division.
I was.
That's crazy.
It's like my growth started before everybody else's, and then it stopped after everyone, like before everyone else's.
Now you're like the shortest
Yeah.
in your division, right?
Yes. I've been the shortest since I was a junior.
It's okay. I've always been the shortest, so it's all right.
He
There's
gets
a
it.
couple people that are shorter than me, and I stay around them all the time. That's just you find someone shorter, you stand around them, make you look tall.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're the same height, so I can't do
Right
that.
now. I reached my peak.
It's not a very tall peak.
No, I know. It is better than where it was.
All right, so that was it. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so Haley, let's just talk about this run that you've had since moving up to adults. It's kind of crazy because how COVID and everything was. So like that was it really like your last year as a junior you kind of missed, or was it?
Yeah, it was I did. Yeah, I did my first tournament in my second year of 16, 17, which was AKAs in 2020, and then
Yeah.
the rest.
Then for
obviously,
there, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So your first tournament as an adult was which one?
It was Bout of Atlanta 2021.
Okay.
The very first one back, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So what was that like? I mean, everyone is excited to see you finally move up to adults. What it was going to be, I think that's Amanda. I think that's Amanda. Hey, Amanda.
Oh my gosh.
My mom's phone. So truth is, like, everyone's ready to see it. You know what I mean? So was there pressure, or were you just excited to finally get to be up there and compete against adults?
I think I was definitely a little bit nervous. I feel as anyone would be, but it was especially nerve-wracking because towards the like beginning of 2020, like right before COVID hit, I had kind of like reached this like slump, and I
Mm.
just had been doing it for so long, and I feel like, a lot of us go through it, but we don't all talk about it.
Yep.
But like I hit this major slump where I was like, what, like, do I still want to do this? Like, or like, am I kind of done with it? And I know, for being a 16, 17-year-old like competitor at the time, like it didn't make sense because I was still young. But I've been doing it since I was 9. So like I've been doing it for almost 10 years at that point. So I'm like, man, like why why keep on going? Like I feel like I've done quite a bit, and I was just getting a little tired of it. I just wanted to like sit home and relax and whatnot. And then COVID happened. So like the timing of that, although an unfortunate series of events,
Couldn't have been better.
was perfect for me
Yeah.
because it gave me time to sit and show. And I was like, oh, like great, like I don't have to train for nothing right now, like I can just relax, not too long into it. I'm like, okay, I'm bored. Like it kind of hit me where I was like, I really love what I do. I
Yeah.
just needed a little bit of a break. So I started training a lot during COVID. Like I was training every day because it was the only thing that was like keeping me sane. And it's not to like toot my own horn, I was just bored. Like we were all
Yeah.
home, like I didn't have anything else to do.
Remember
So
our
like,
Zoom workouts?
yeah, like we used to work on Zoom, like anything to do, because it was just it was a hard time when we're so used to being everywhere all at once, and then having to like be at home and sit down and not do anything. It was just tough for me. So I spent probably like 3 hours in our garage like every day just training. At the time when I was selling Timmy Infinity, like we did trainings every weekend.
Right.
So like that was always fun. We did like 3 hour trainings on Sundays. So like, having the community and just getting to not have to worry about an event, but getting to just get better as a martial artist, and like
Yeah.
just get better at my craft and get more creative and all these things. Like that really gave me time to just explore who I was at the time, in our sport. And so I think going into 2021, I remember that like, or I had thought about just my growth and over COVID. So I was kind of nervous going back into it because I'm like, am I gonna perform like I've been training? Like I've been training a lot. Is it gonna show? That, and then also I'm like, I don't know what to expect. Like it's my first year in adults. Like I really don't know how I'm gonna place against the current adults in the division, whether I'm gonna do as good as I hope or not do as great. Like I wasn't really sure what that was gonna be like, but I trained my butt off. So when I went to battle and I did really well, I ended up taking both overalls because at the time we didn't split triad. So I took the women's forms and women's weapons, and then there was like an ultimate grand championships, and I took that too. So that was really exciting. It was almost like confirmation that the work I had been putting in, for the past year or so, was worth it, and like what I've learned about myself and how I need to train really
Mhm.
helped kind of going into that adult division. So I had a better mindset, and I was just better prepared to compete in that much harder division. And then going into U.S. Open, I had even more competition. So I just really changed my perspective during that time in COVID. So going into adults, so I was nervous, and then I wasn't because I was like, man, I got this. Like I've been doing what I need to do. It's working. So let me keep on pushing.
Yeah, and I think also like I know you guys had not just the Infinity workout, but you guys had different people, and I
Mhm.
think you had told me at AKA maybe 2022 when we were doing like this documentary type thing.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we'll see the light of day one day. It'll be like that
yeah,
secret
I
fan.
remember that. That's crazy. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know that you guys had like different people you guys worked with, and you had like an exclusive group that you're like, hey, all right, do you want to join it? Who's getting together, right?
Yeah.
And for you to get ready for that in that way, it was kind of like everyone was building you up for that moment, right?
Mhm.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
just you on your own, which of course, like like we all know you are just devoted and dedicated to do it. But then when you have those other people behind you pushing you, and
Yeah.
like the different people, name some of the people that were on some of those forms of weapons training with you
Yeah,
guys.
for sure. So I had, of course, my Infinity trainings, which is great because I didn't get to train with those guys like ever, except for our camps. So
Right.
it's always good to have fresh perspective. Just in like how they trained compared to like how I normally trained. It was just something different is always good because it helps you learn, it helps you grow. Alex commented it. So we had this little group called the Wolf Pack. And it was myself, Alex, Connor Chastain, Sammy Smith, and Caio De Silva. And I think one time Philip Brumet joined in, and
Yeah.
another time Isabella Nicolai also joined in. And so what we would do is we'd have it every Sunday, or we tried to at least, and like we had a different person lead the training every
Mm,
time.
that's
So
awesome.
we always got a different perspective on like how each of us trained, and in doing that, I kind of picked in, little pieces of everybody's kind of routines and made it my own. And I think that's, one of the things that also really helped me. Just because these are also like some of the most elite competitors in the sport. Obviously, we don't all train the same. We've all gotten here in different ways. So getting to just freshen up my perspective on how I should train was definitely something that I think helped me out going into my adult divisions and years moving forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So this past couple years, you've kept that momentum going. Let's talk about, like, how do you feel now that the grants are split up for women? What are some positives? What are some negatives? How do you feel about that?
It's definitely really exciting for us. I think just because it's always sucky as a female to get less than the men in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form. And it's not against them. It's just how things are, and it's just unfortunate. Like I remember, I think I had conversations with Gabrielle about this when we used to compete together before it was split. We're like, man, like it's not fair because we believe that certain divisions shouldn't get scored against each other, and
Right.
tradition, and that was always a topic of conversation, like traditional and CMX. It's very hard to compare the two
because it's not the same.
right,
at
and then it's just like, okay, well, like even if you try your hardest not to be biased, it's always like this like subconscious like bias in your brain, and so
Right.
maybe you're not even trying, but you're gonna score based off of what you maybe like better. Like if I was a judge, I'm better and I know more about CMX. So maybe if I see a really good CMX competitor, like not trying, but I'll score them higher just because I know it. So I
Right.
think now that we're split, it gives a much better opportunity for things to be scored a little bit more fairly.
Yeah.
Um, just because, you're not it just doesn't make sense to score the two together, I think, and then that's why it's separated in men. And then also men have more money to win, and that's not fair as a girl.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we want to win that much too, when men are split into four different grands, and in theory one guy could go and win $4,000, and for women, like you can work your butt off and only win 2,000. Like
Right.
that's we work just as hard, and it's
And
unfortunate.
also, Haley, like, they weren't given runner up at a lot of those tournaments either,
Yeah.
especially the first 2 years of COVID, and some still aren't.
So
And
yeah,
No, for sure.
even for
yeah,
the women's grands.
right.
Yeah. And it's like it feels like it's just because maybe there's not even because there's not even less women. I mean, maybe like by a smidge,
Mm-hmm.
but like we work just as hard. It's just sometimes it's discouraging, Nick, and I can see why like some women might be discouraged by the fact that like we don't get the same treatment. It's like why am I even gonna try? Like I'm not gonna get treated the same. So I'm really happy about them splitting. I think it just makes it a lot more fair, and also gives me for someone who does more than just like CMX. I do like my tried weapons. It gives me a chance to showcase that more on stage. When I do win, so it's really nice because it's one of my favorite divisions, and a lot of times when I'd make it, I'd have to choose one or the other. So getting
Yeah.
to sometimes showcase the
But-
CMX commas and then tread sword,
Mm-hmm.
is really fun for me to do.
And fighting.
Yeah, it's starting to fight, so hopefully that'll
Yeah,
do well.
that's
Um,
awesome. That's awesome.
I guess
Yeah,
the
I
only
think.
downside would be it's just like sometimes it's a lot for me. So I have
Well,
to
yeah,
do more now.
Sometimes.
I mean,
right.
all the time. It's a
Yeah,
lot. Like I'm like,
yeah, it
man,
is a
I
lot.
have to do
It is
more
a lot.
now. But
And
it's
you know
nice.
what? They're trying to get, them to be the finals to be less and less. So really
Yeah.
now, years ago we didn't really have to do runoffs that much for adults, and
Now
now
we do.
everyone is. And I mean, and I know for me, it's that someone who does the 18 plus and the senior, it's a lot, and it's like, okay, I signed up for Found Divisions, but I'm going to end up doing 15 forms because we have runoffs, and another one.
That's for
So
sure. That's one thing that like a lot of us adults are not the happiest about, just because that's something like when you're a junior you look forward to like being in the
yes,
adult division because you don't have to do runoffs anymore, and it's like
exactly.
now we do, and we're like, ah, this is whack.
Right. And again, if you're going to take the top two, then everyone that makes the stage gets money. Like there has to be
Right.
something like that. There's got to be. Or if you're going to take the top three, there has to be, especially when you're making us do more
Yeah.
for the same. And so there has to be an initial, some type of increase on that. So.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I know I deal with the same thing with the senior because of the senior grands, it's traditional and open against each
Right.
other, and it's very difficult. But a lot of times, what really sucks is that you can kind of tell by the panel, right? and and that shouldn't be the way it is. And
So true.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. You'd be like, "Oh man, like it's a traditional panel this weekend, or like a CMX," and so it's like
yeah.
it's unfortunate, but I guess it's just how it is, and
Yeah, just how it is, and hopefully, the more we discuss it, the more people try to make adjustments,
yeah,
and and it grows from there. So, and the thing is, people say, "Oh, well, what is there? What's the future in our sport?" The thing is that you look at all the great people that have come from it, right?
yeah,
And people that have either moved on to other things, but everyone still like loves it and still wants to be a part of it. Even people who have retired are still having teams, or they always come back and show up at tournaments.
yeah.
Like, do you feel like even though like, you're going to go on to some type of performance and stunt career or even acting or whatever,
Mhm.
what, well, and also with um, your degree as well, right?
Yeah.
So you got a lot of options, right? But
Right.
do you feel another time when you won't come back at least once or twice to a tournament?
I don't think there'll ever be a time where like I'll just completely like
Get rid of it.
not show up, just because like it. I think for me, one thing I think about is like my passion for the sport is always there, but it's how it shows itself that it's different sometimes. Whereas like now, or when I was younger, it was always about like the competing was just the best part of it, and I still love competing. I do, but now I'm finding so much, like happiness in training like my students and watching them go out and compete and
Yep.
seeing them like achieve their wildest dreams and do things that like they didn't think they could do, and like that's where I'm finding a lot of my happiness now, and like even like going and teaching seminars. So it's like my passion for the sport is always going to be there, but
Yep.
it's kind of it's showing itself in different lights now. But I still love it. Like even when I do end up retiring at some point in time, like I'll definitely still come back. I love the environment. Like it's about competing, but it's also about like the memories made not
Yep.
on the mats that to me matter the most.
Yeah, at some point I feel like it stops becoming about, like, obviously competing is amazing, but at some point it's becoming more your impact
Hmm.
Yeah.
on the sport rather than how much
Yep.
you've won and
Yeah, like
how many
the how many
tournaments you've
first places
done.
you got and
Yeah.
stuff. Like
Right.
It's more about who you've impacted and how you've impacted the sport yourself.
yeah.
That's what makes the mark, I feel like.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's about like you inspiring others to do it, or
Hmm.
inspiring others to do something different, or to do it in their way, right? And like, and again, like we've said before too, like, and we kind of alluded to it, like there's certain things that people think you have to do this, and then there's someone that's going to break down that, right? And there's some person that's going to make a change, and that's what's cool about it, like, and that's what I tell all of my students, especially like in my martial arts school, is like, for martial arts, there's something for everybody, right? And like one week or one year, you may love fighting, and the next year, you just may love doing breaking. Who knows, right? It may be weapons that you want to do, right?
Oh,
It may
I love
be
that.
grappling that you eventually want to do. It may be kickboxing that you change to, but it's always something, right? And at some point, you're gonna like one more than the other, but they're always gonna be there. And I think when you really look at that, the whole package of martial arts and being a not a partial artist, right? I think that really like it just shows how impactful martial arts is to people, and how it can help them and change them, because there's something for everybody, and you can kind of go through those phases and go from there. So pretty sweet, pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right, Peyton, you got anything you want to add? Something that something juicy, something?
I wanted to say something earlier. I personally think the adult division was shaking in their boots when this girl hit 18.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We did the virtual forms tour, right? And so we did that. It was one event. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. And that was one of the things, is that really people wanted to see, you in there. They're like, well, all right, let's wait till next year when she's an adult, and let's make that, and we got to see it. But the truth is like Haley's been dominated, and it's exciting to just see. And the thing is, I think you've helped the level of women increase, because I've seen so many get better over the past 2 years, right? Some that were maybe only getting fifth to eighth are now pushing themselves up to first place,
Yeah.
and it's really awesome to see.
It is a great thing. It's really like, and this kind of sounds. I feel like this sounds funny, and maybe some people might take it like the wrong way. Their mindset is bad or whatever. But I love it when I can see my competitors getting better too. Like it's honestly so exciting. Like I've watched a couple of the girls that I've competed with, and like I just see the improvements every event, and it makes me work harder, you know. And one
Right.
thing that I love is that like never I've never settled. I'm always trying to be better than I was. And you know, one thing that's always helped me since I was little, because when I was competing as a junior, for the first couple of years I competed, it was the grands were boys and girls together still before
Right.
they had separated it. So
Yeah.
my mindset since I was little was always like, you gotta beat the boys, Haley. Like you gotta get the boys. Like you have to be better than them. And so even now, although I don't compete with them, my standard is always like I got to be better than the men in in the divisions right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the top guys. Like, even though I don't compete with them, it doesn't matter. Like, that's where my mind is at, and I think that's what's helping me continue to get better. You know, I'm watching Esteban, I'm watching Alex, I'm watching Ben, I'm watching Dawson, Phillip. Like, I'm watching all these guys, and I'm like, man, they're amazing. I got to work harder. I got to be just as good as them. Like, I got to show everybody that like girls can do exactly what the guys can do. And so that's always been my goal. And I think that's why I've been so successful. It's just, I've never just settled for like, oh, like I'm the top of the women's division right now. Like, cool, I'm done. Like, you know, that's not how it is. And I feel like if I were to think that way, I would just plateau super quick. But I feel like I'm still on the up because I'm still training to be better than somebody. And I see somebody and I'm like, no, I got to be better than you. Um, but that's just my mindset, you know, and that's what keeps me going.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, like when you say that, you speak that way, it reminds me of Casey Marks Nash, right? And that mindset. I still one of my best friends in the sport. This year at Quebec was awesome to be able to just spend time
Yeah,
again
awesome.
and hang out and just talk about our mindset, what keeps us doing this, why, and her drive, and yeah, I mean, to me, it really like shows, just you at that level becoming that next, phenom and dominant women's competitor. So, all right, what is next for you? And then we'll talk about we'll share again for about Cobra Kai.
Yeah, what's next for me? There's so much going on. Um, well, I will be moving soon, within the new year. So, I'm leaving home. Alex and I will be coming together finally, you know, after the years of long distance. We'll be done with that. I mean, I'm planning a wedding. I'm in the process of getting just all my ducks in a row for applying to grad school this summer.
Okay.
So I plan to apply to PT school. So I'm just kind of trying to get my extra classes in that, you know, I need my prerequisites and some experience, some shadowing. And then I'm also at the same time we're both planning to move to Atlanta. So um,
Okay.
I am just we're gonna be trying to go for stunts, you know, and seeing what's out there for us, especially after our Cobra Kai experience. Like it kind of lit a fire under us a little bit. We loved that experience, and so you know, I think there's work out there for me, and there's things I could achieve and do, and opportunities I can take. So I'm gonna try to make the most out of it, most of my time, and go and try that out before I end up going to grad school.
Awesome. Awesome. And then, all those injured stunt people, you
Right,
cure.
right. And that's why I'm here. Like, hey, don't worry. Just give me a couple of years, and I'll be able to get you right. Like, it's okay.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
And
right.
then I drive 6 hours for the only person I would ever drive 6 hours
yeah.
with.
I'm
That's
excited
right.
too.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So Atlanta, it's so crazy. Just years ago, we think, wait, Atlanta is where everybody's going to move for
Yeah.
stunts and for films, but it's pretty awesome, right?
Mhm. No,
it's
I
a,
honestly love
it's,
it. Like even aside from like sense of film, I've been enough times, and some people don't like it, but I happen to really like Atlanta, so I'm
yeah,
excited just to be there. Like stunts or no stunts, I love the city.
City girl.
Yeah.
yes, that's awesome. All right, so you said, wait, tomorrow or next Friday? When is it?
This Friday.
This
So
Friday.
2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, I'm still thinking it's there. I'm a day ahead. Okay, so all right,
Yeah.
today's Thursday. All right, so Friday, Friday. All right, so tell us about that experience before we finish up.
Yeah, so this experience was really extraordinary. It was amazing. And the way it kind of came about was very out of the blue. So we had Alex and I had both met this guy who works with Cobra Kai and just that whole team. We had met this guy. His name was Tony, We met him maybe last summer, maybe over a year ago. And so we were just training in Atlanta. We had met him. We had a whole conversation, and he was like, "You guys would be like perfect for Cobra Kai." And we're like, "Yeah, no, we would be like keep that in mind." And he was saying how like he's worked on it and stuff, and like once the new season comes out, like he'd keep us in mind. And like I think the day or two after that is when the whole strike happened, and nothing was being filmed. So like everything was put on hold for a while. So I think I kind of forgot about it. I was like. Like it just kind of it slipped my mind. I just went on and thought about other things. So like fast forward, I think 8 months later, I'm in the middle of my internship, and I think I was like massaging an athlete. I don't know. I was doing some treatment on one of our athletes in my internship, and like I had my watch on, my little Apple Watch, and I see this guy Tony calling, and I was like, he never calls me like ever. He doesn't text me like nothing. So I'm like, I feel like I can't just not answer. Like I need a. But I was like doing this, and I have like lotion on my hands, and I'm like, I don't know what to do right now.
It's you.
So I'm like,
Insert like.
yeah. So I was like, I had one of my fellow interns. I was like, hey, can you take over? I really gotta take this call. I stepped outside. I answered, and Tony was like, he was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing great, but I'm like, my heart's pumping real fast, and um he goes, like, what's she doing? Like, are you available like next week for like any reason? And I was like, I can make myself available. Like, that's like, whatever I have to do. And he
Yeah.
goes, yeah, awesome. That's great. That's great. So, I was thinking like, how would you like to be a part of Cobra Kai? And I was speechless. Like I didn't say anything. And I
Yeah.
was like for a couple seconds and he's like, Haley. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'd love to. Like, I'll do whatever I have to do. Like I'll make myself available,
Yeah.
freaking out. And he goes, awesome, awesome. Like, I'm gonna send you over the information shortly. Um, and I remember he had also mentioned Alex in the conversation, and he was like, "Do you know what Alex is doing?" And I was like, "He's available, I'm sure, if needed." And he's like, "Okay, okay, okay, cool." And that was kind of that. So I remember I was in the middle of my internship, and I'm freaking out. So I'm messaging Alex. I'm like, be on your phone. Like, just if you get a phone call, answer. If you get a text, answer. Like, be actively checking your phone because we gotta stay on top of this. And he's like, on top of what? And then we ended up getting like a message in a group chat, and he didn't see it at first because he was also in class. So I'm like calling him like crazy, and I'm like, answer your phone. Like, you need to pay attention. And he sees and he freaks out too. So we're both in all like we're just getting these text messages about being in Cobra Kai. Um, I think the day after he ended up flying to Gainesville. We drove for a fitting on like a Friday. We drove back because I had a day or two of internship left in my week that I had
Mhm.
to go to because I had to be an hour requirement. And then we drove back again to start just our set experience. And it was insane. Like getting to be a part of the Sekai Tekai tournament, like the All Valley but on steroids.
Right.
Like it was the coolest thing I think I've ever done. And what was also awesome about it was that like I'm 99% sure all of the stuntmen hired for the Sekai Tekai tournament that we'll see soon were all martial artists.
Yeah.
Maybe not the same discipline, but everybody was a martial artist, which was awesome because stuntmen come from all walks, all backgrounds. Like you could have like a dancer doing fights, or like we knew a guy who did like professional snowboarding and now he's in stunts, like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But all of the athletes in that tournament who filmed were all martial artists, so that was something we could really bond over. Like I got to meet like Nikki Stanley for the first time, which was
Yeah.
something like for me was kind of crazy. Like I worked with Justin Ortiz, Juliana Ramos, Alex was there. um like Colin O'Brien was there with us, like Ben Morris, like all these people that we've competed with were also there. So getting to, I think, share that experience all together was super awesome, and just being a part of it, watching each other throw down in like a fight scene against like one of the actors or actresses, and it, eating lunch together on set, just out meeting like the Karate Kid and just all of the people who are a part of that, like that was insane. I feel that as a martial artist, we watch those movies and we're like, yeah, that's exactly what I do. Like, it's the
Yeah.
Karate Kid. Like, that's me. And so getting to go and just meet all these people, meeting Sensei Kreese and like
Yeah.
William Zabka and all these things, Ralph Macchio, like, it was insane. It still doesn't feel real. I look back on our pictures and whatnot, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity. But it was definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I'm so happy that I got to be a part of it. It's sad that it's the last season, but
Yeah. Yeah.
going from watching some of our best martial artists in the first couple of seasons. I know Mark Canonizato was in it, Matt Emig was in it. There's so many people, and so we've
Amazing.
all like, got to watch them. Justin Ortiz was in season 3, so I remember, this was a couple years ago. I had no idea at that time. So seeing them do it, and then realizing that I'm gonna be that person maybe for someone else watching, they're like, "Oh my God, Haley Glass is in that!" Like,
Yeah.
just knowing I'm gonna get that reaction is kind of crazy. I'm so excited to see what comes out. I've seen they just dropped the first 5 minutes of the first episode of part 2 coming out, and I
Yeah.
saw myself a couple of times, and I'm cheesing so hard. I'm watching, and I'm like, "That's me!" Like I'm in.
I'm gonna be
I'm
like,
in it. Like I'm zooming in. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it's coming out, and just kind of thinking back on how it was on those set days. They were very long, but I feel it was so much fun. So I hope to still one day get another experience like that. But it was absolutely amazing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, everyone go out and watch the new season. Go out and support Haley Glass and Alex and all the other amazing martial artists that we know and love, and go out and support them. And you know what? Like, use that to inspire you again, and this is another way for you to inspire other people to follow in your footsteps and take that next step, right?
Mm-hmm.
woo,
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Peyton, you're doing good. Anything new?
doing
That's
great.
You just into your new job and everything?
Adjusting to my new job. I got a compliment from somebody today. Told me I was doing great, and my manager was right behind me. So that's what my day is like. Who's over here, Miss Worldwide, and I'm at work on my computer.
It's all good. It's all good. Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. We will have to have you back on, and also maybe we have to have you and Alex on
Yeah.
our regular show, our Inside Scoop as well. I
Yeah,
think
that'd
that
be
would be a
great.
lot of fun. And but keep up the great work, Haley. Keep up the
Yes.
great work, Peyton.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yes,
joining us every
yes.
month, guys. This is a lot of fun. And I hope everyone enjoyed it. And make sure you guys share and let everybody hear about Haley Glass's story.
Thank you guys. Appreciate
All
y'all
right.
watching.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.